Welcome back, everyone. Let's pick up where we left off.
Okay, so to set the scene, you are have been talking, let's say, long into some sort of night, whatever night exists in this place of a vast number of rooms indoors. You've had lots to drink, lots to eat, and you've decided that you're going to head off into the Umbra to attempt to intercept Morgaine and her party. So you're making preparations to do that, packing yourselves up. I'm assuming that each of you has quarters that you had established here. If you want to have, a group of retainers who is available to follow you through the Umbra, that's okay. If you want to have quarters where horses or other riding animals are available, or vehicles, this place is easily able to accommodate anything along those lines that you may have established, or the like. And remember, at least for the audience, just to be clear, each of these people, because they can travel through this vast, infinite set of interdimensional worlds, and they can go to any kind of place they imagine, they can have anything they want. So if you want to have a particular golden sword, or the Starship Enterprise, or anything you can think of, that's among your possessions. Wealth is absolutely meaningless to these folks. It's just a matter of what you can have with you and what's practical to have with you at any given moment. But in terms of just being able to get something with enough time and freedom of motion, you can get anything. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of a GM intrusion to throw in some action here. So I'm going to do a little bit of picking on, if that's okay. Kind of been kind of passive, just answering people's questions up to this point. But I think it makes sense to be a little bit pushier here. And here's what I am going to do. I am going to pick on, or put the camera on Agorus. And let's say that you've left the group to go to your quarters to make preparations, and you are walking along, and I'm going to impose a consequence on you, which you're able to resist if you choose. You're walking past a group of servants when suddenly one of them springs from behind you and is going to wrap a garrote around your neck from behind. This is a surprise attack. It occurs with incredible speed. So not something you would expect one of these servants in this place to, even if they wanted to be treacherous, you would not expect them to be able to move this quickly, and suddenly that is wrapped around your neck. Is that something that you want to resist?
No, I think that's totally fine. We can start a fight.
Totally fine. Okay, so you this creature has a garrote around your neck, and it is whispering in your ear, "This is for my crush mate, Agorian," and it's applying pressure to your neck.
Yeah, I mean, immediately Agorus would spring to defending himself. Probably at first just trying to hold off, like hands towards the neck, trying to keep pressure from just crushing in on him.
All right. A resist roll on that consequence. You haven't taken any any actual harm. This is just a complication at this point.
Sure.
If you did make a resist roll, you could have something in the way. Right now, it's the established.
Oh, it's around on me. Yeah, that's fine too.
Against your neck, and so you're about to take harm if this continues. If you wanted to resist, you could have been quick enough to have a dagger in the way, or some other object in your hands. Or you had said that you were wearing some armor. You could say you have a vambrace on your arm, and that's blocking your neck. If you
Sure, no,
want.
that's it could be around my neck. That's fine.
Okay.
What's
All right.
hard?
What are you trying to do?
I'll instead try to unsheath my sword,
Okay.
and I obviously can tell this combatant is behind me, so I'll try my best to try and get them off of me. Like just unsheath it and immediately just stab backwards
Okay. So
into where I
you're
think this entity is.
something along the lines of unsheathing the sword and stabbing backward in a backhanded grip.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm going to say that that is an action. Engage would be the action that occurs to me as the most obvious one, but you could argue for a different one if you choose. Although that's your best action, so probably I'm guessing you wouldn't want to argue against that one. And that is going to be, I'm going to say desperate standard at this point.
Sure. And just for my clarification, this thing whispered in my ear. Did it say crush or clutch? Crash.
Crash.
Okay. Just wanted to.
Yeah. No. That crash. As in a group of people or creatures raised together in a crash.
Okay, sure.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll roll that. Engage. I think I'll also really quick just describe my sword a little bit, because it is a the sword itself isn't like completely crazy. It's a very fine blade, obviously crafted by the best Agorian craftsmen, but a detail that other craftsmen or might not be typical for other people in like the army or something, is that this one has a very large yellow gemstone that has been faceted like right into the base of the blade by the hilt. It gleams through like both sides, so if I held it up, I can like kind of see through this gem. And it happens to be a powerful artifact that I've like melded into my like gear. And let's see if it helps me, because maybe I'll just die.
Okay, and you're not pushing at this point. You're just making a regular roll.
Yeah, I think 3 is good.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know too much about the combatant, so yeah, we'll go for it.
And then just to explain the game system for those who are familiar with standard Blades in the Dark, this is a hacked in the dark system, so it's a modification from the standard Blades in the Dark system. Blades in the Dark has a whole subsystem for equipment and items and load that somebody's carrying. This game doesn't have any of that. You're just assumed to be able to have whatever makes sense on you without any particular limit, so it's handled in the fiction. So you have this with you, and this is actually, so this is your empowered artifact that you have as part of one of your abilities?
Yes, that's correct. And actually, somebody on the Twitch chat asked what the gemstone does specifically. So real quick, it's a magic ward for me, so it helps me defend against powers that I am not that great with. Valriaut is an expert of warping and using this power of the blood. The biggest thing Agorus got out of living so long is the ability to just continue fighting, to learn about how like to be an expert like at combat in general.
Sure. And with 3 dots and engage, you are incredibly effective in a fight. One thing to also be clear on is that any bloodline character is assumed to be, at a base, even if you have 0 dots in any particular ability, you are at sort of the top end of human range. So with 0 dots in traverse, you could run a marathon. This, and when with 3 dots, you are just beyond. You could beat the best swordsman Earth has ever produced, really without even having to pay too much attention. Okay, so you want to make that roll?
Yep, I did roll already.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, and you got a 6. Okay, cool. So you have successfully stabbed your blade into the belly of this creature. Uh, uh, as this happens, out of the corner of your eye, you are seeing a human hand. You're seeing human hands holding this garrote against your neck, and you are seeing that hand shift into a dark physical form with claws, uh, and it's a mottled skin that you are seeing between. So the modeling varies between black, and it is a black that is more intense than blacks that people are used to because it absorbs all of the light. So it looks almost like it looks like nothingness. But it's modeled with sections of a sort of cerulean greenish blue, so you can kind of track where it is. But you see it changing from human form into this claw form as this creature is as you're stabbing at this creature. Standard means that I'm going to establish a clock for this creature. You've done some damage to it, but you have not taken it out. 1 second. So. Okay. So I've just called it creature, given it a 6 o'clock, and you have gotten 3 segments filled on that clock of its just defenses. So you have stabbed backward into its chest, and it has stepped back and away from you. So it no longer has this garrote around your neck. And you can see that it has shifted. Now you're getting a look at it. You are familiar with demons. This is clearly a demon. It is about the size of a human. It's wearing the uniform of the servants of this place, but it is shifted. It's got a thick, long face with eyes that are sort of randomly scattered around, so it's not symmetrical where the eyes are. And it has sharp teeth and long claws that it's reaching out toward you. And you can see a yellowish blood or ichor dripping down from where you had stabbed it.
And when you say long face, are we talking about like aliens, like that kind of long?
Yeah, sort of that long snout, kind of dog-like snout.
Okay. And I presume the rest of these serving people who it was walking among have like begun scattering, or
yeah, this has happened in just a moment, right? This is sort of, you can act at your reflexes are faster than a human's, and this creature is acting at sort of similar speed. So some of the servants are still just looking and just absorbing what's happening. Some
going
of them
in slow-mo.
back. But you're sort of in bullet time right now.
Sure. So if they are still relatively close, the first thing Agorus would do would definitely be to interpose himself, put myself between the mundanes and this creature while I continue to try to fight it back. I don't think like calling out or crying for help is really a thing. Like Hrolf and everybody else might be nearby even, but I think first would just be to dispatch this thing and then tell everybody that it is happening.
Okay.
So I think I would immediately move to take my sword and do a slash down across its inky void chest to try to end it.
Okay. It's and you're doing that while you're trying to protect the servants who are kind of starting to scatter and react to this event. Sure, you can do that. I'm going to say that it's again, it's very quick. and effective. So it's as you take that swing at it, it's going to duck up onto the ceiling. So it has attached itself to the ceiling, surprisingly, and taking a swing across your face. So again, that is a consequence that it has applied. I'm going to say that's level 2 harm, unless you wish to resist.
Okay. And really quick then, I do have Weapon Master as one of the other traits, my special ability.
Okay.
This allows me to
Oh yes, yes.
get an extra die when facing an overwhelming opponent that is imposing
Right.
consequences before I react.
Yep.
It sounds a lot like this thing's doing that to me.
That does fit. So thank you very much for mentioning that. So you get +1 die. You do get +1 die to that resistance roll.
Sure. Is it prowess then, I would assume?
I think that probably makes the most sense. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll have 2 dice then on this.
Yeah. And you roll a 6, so that costs you 0 stress. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, and that's going to allow you to take that swing. I'm going to call that, it's no longer desperate. You're in risky position at the moment.
Okay, so I think it kind of leaps up to the ceiling as I'm like curving my blade through where its body would have been.
Sure.
And as it like slashes at me, just like years of fighting these things has definitely brought me to a honed skill level. And I quickly am able to redirect my sword up towards it before it contacts my face.
Okay, so you went from a stab to a slash upward.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And you roll a 5, so a partial success. And so I'm going to say that as a result, you stab upward into its neck. It's attempts to dodge out of the way, but you manage to get in there. But in the process, it has also slashed back at you. So you've got kind of a double strike back and forth. So you were not able to quite get out of the way. So once again, you have a consequence in the form of a claw slash across your face. I'm going to call that level 2 harm.
Sure. Okay, I'll accept that.
Okay. You'll take that harm, or do you want to resist that? Didn't cost you anything before. You take another resist.
No,
roll.
I will take it. Because I have a great plan.
You have a plan. Okay. So in the process, you did get your weapon stabbed into this creature, into its inky black chest. And that is going to end this thing. So you actually have it pinned to the ceiling, and it is screaming and flailing about. In fact, in its flailing about, it is where it got its slash to your head. And it is screaming and spewing forth its yellowish blood, and it is dead.
Okay. I wait for a moment just so it stops thrashing. Make sure that the servant people have gone.
Yeah. So as that happened, they were screaming, stepping away, pulling back, getting out of your way. So
Are
they were all clearly surprised.
Are the demons very uncommon for people who live on the stable planes, like the mundanes who might not travel as much?
Yeah, they don't. I mean, demons are not something that people in a place like this encounter with any kind of regularity. They're not all over the place. You tend to hunt them and engage with them, so you're much more familiar. But even most bloodline characters don't encounter demons all that often.
Sure. Okay, I was just curious. So I'll obviously bring it down afterwards, or let its corpse fall down, and there's probably a commotion. I don't know if any of the other alliance members notices and comes this way offhand. But I think the first thing I would probably do, because it definitely mentioned that it knows people that I've most likely dispatched.
Mhm.
I'll try to investigate this thing, see if I can figure out anything about what it might be linked to.
Sure. So you can do that. In the meantime, any of the rest of you who want to say that you have responded to, you heard a commotion, some screaming, yelling, servant running past, kind of noticeable things. So any or all of you could have noted that and come to respond.
Yeah, I think that Ananke's might be the first to first to appear. She's she's high in traverse, so she's tends to sneak about and just kind of appear places. I think that in this case, she just sort of appears and once the action's done, but she reaches over and without asking a complete invasion of his personal space, she applies a healing balm to his wounds without even like saying anything.
How is Agorus respond? You've got a slash across your face. So
Yeah, like new slash.
Yeah.
I think Agorus would notice that it's Ananke, even from our brief exchange before. And having been put on edge, like he's kind of like looking down at this thing, and she like steps out of the shadows towards him. And maybe he like readies his sword for a moment, turning towards her before she like lays palm on Faye, like spreads goo. I don't know what this is. Yeah.
Yeah. What does your balm look and smell? What does it smell like, actually?
Oh, don't make it smell bad.
Yeah, no, I think that it's probably exactly what you're thinking. It's like a salve. It's very thick and greasy, and it smells primordial. It smells like she dug it out of the bottom of a bog. It's not necessarily nasty. It's just very, very earthy.
Okay.
Oakiness to it.
All right. So this allows you to make a resist roll for someone else after the fact. If they have taken harm, you can roll a resist for them, and that takes effect. It doesn't take effect immediately. It's not like a magical healing effect, like somebody's just erased it. But over the course of the next hour or so, your resist roll does take effect. So do you want to roll that? I would say probably resolve is the most likely one.
Drake's rolling for me because we have it up on his computer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was seeing. It looked like Drake was doing it. Okay, so and you roll a 6, so you also take 0 stress for this. And so what does it feel like healing? Does it feel painful and intrusive? Does it feel immediately comforting as he feels his wounds start to be taken away? How does it feel like to Agorus?
I want to say that it might be dependent on the person, whether or not he's embracing it or if he's resistant to it. It could be soothing or painful. Just depends on the person. And don't fight it.
And
Sure, I think.
I'm also going to say that you have sort of a connection to the jewel in your sword, right? Which normally protects you against intrusive magical power effects. So I'm going to say that you kind of feel it at some level. It's not intelligent, but you feel it kind of reaching out to you and sort of querying you as to whether it should try to stop this from happening.
Sure. So I think this moment happens all like almost as fast as the attack, right?
Yeah.
And an exchange like without words practically too, where this gets smeared all over my face when I was about to thrust forward. But clearly Agorus recognizes somebody who he was told at least is trustworthy, and maybe this will prove it. But I think for being from Agorus, being like of the earth, I think this would probably be a more soothing, like it would be very familiar with the type of paste or like earthen healing that it is. And I think you're right with the sword. I think there's probably like a brief like flash or glint besides the light in the place that kind of like shines through this gemstone, kind of like catching Ananke's eye. She probably thinks it's cool because it's a bauble too, I guess.
I could wear that.
I wear it. It's fine. But yeah, I think he kind of like meets her gaze, kind of like they were before when they were eating dinner, kind of sizing each other up both, and maybe coming to a bit of an understanding. Obviously Ananke has power and is able to get around, arrive very quickly. And he kind of just like nods to her like, thank you.
Yeah, she'll wordlessly just kind of nod back, like it's just an unspoken kind of like.
I think that this moment that we're seeing in the camera's eye, this meeting of eyes and this kind of terse nod back and forth. Valriaut appears. He's like, I just forgot my valise. Oh, light of the father's bones beneath us. What? Did I miss something fun?
And I think I'm using my special ability of sitting in the corner and eating popcorn.
That didn't cost a special ability though, right?
No.
Oh, I have a mechanical question. So I resisted on his behalf. Does resistance drop it to a level 1 harm for me, or do I resist it whole cloth? How does that work?
Right. So you take the stress, and what that's going to do is I'm going to say that's going to drop that 1 level to level 1 harm. And in this system, again, because you are physically capable characters, level 1 harm is different. The effect, there are 3 levels of harm in standard blades, as in this game. Level 1 harm, the effect of that is basically it hurts, but you're okay. In other words, it has no mechanical effect. It's filling up 1 harm slot at level 1, but it's not doing anything to limit your functioning at this point. And then later on, if you take a heal action during rest, that will automatically clear. You won't even have to make a die roll for it.
Oh, really cool. Okay.
So I'm still the one with the harm though, yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
I said I'm still the one with the harm, just to clarify.
Yeah, you are the one with the harm. It doesn't transfer to an Ananke.
Yeah.
It allows you to take the stress. It basically allows you to take a protect action after the fact.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool.
Actually, it doesn't do that. It allows you to take the stress of a resist, but you don't take the consequence. So there is no harm to you. There's still harm on Agorus, but it is reduced from level 2 to level 1.
Yeah, and I'll at this point kind of break gaze, turning towards Valriaut, and kind of sheathing the sword. And I'm like, I don't think you define this as fun, or else I would have had a much easier time getting you to join me. And I'll point over to the body.
Like always? Like always. At this point, he's kind of dropping to one knee next to the demon. This is a demon. There are demons in the sanctum. Do you think that there are more of them?
We can find out.
Yeah.
If you would like, I can use my ability to reach probing tendrils all around the world and determine if there are more demons.
This
Yeah,
is
you
much
can
better.
go throughout this entire dimension to search, throughout this world using your reach special ability. Normally, the action for that would probably be warp, although again you could argue for a different one. But since it's your highest,
It is my highest.
rating, I would expect it not to
Yeah.
be something you'd argue about. So if you want to, so let's say that you're reaching out. It's controlled standard.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just like put my popcorn down for a second and meditate.
Yep.
I did not succeed.
Oh, you rolled 3. Interesting. Let's see. So I'm going to say that you close your eyes, you reach out your tendrils throughout this world, and the consequence that you take, it's a minor consequence, is a complication, and it is simply that you feel something at the other end locking. You're not quite sure what it is, but there, normally you can just reach out through a whole world and feel everything in that universe. And there's a piece of this universe that you didn't get to.
No demons, just the one.
Just the one. That is a comforting.
Yep.
Maybe I can stay luggage. That's fine.
But this has cost us some time, and we should probably hurry out of this dimension to catch up with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dormillion Road waits for no man, after all.
Uh-huh.
Why demons? Why does it have to be demons all the time with the demons?
Mm-hmm. You doing anything with the body, or are you just kind of telling us to clean it up?
Yeah, I think I'll take it with me. I don't think leaving it here is right. They probably don't know how to get rid of that.
No,
I want to study it. I want to see if there's anything I can learn.
They're not used to having demons here, and they're actually quite embarrassed that there was an imposter among their number who managed to come into this place. But I'm going to say they're pretty full service in that you could show up, with your arm cut off, and they could provide full hospital services. You could show up asking for an asparagus tart, and their expert chef will create for you the best asparagus tart you've ever tasted. So this is a very full service place.
So in that regard, then, I don't think I necessarily need to carry it with me. But does it have anything on it? Do they carry things? Are they more of a just feral, like they use their body to attack?
No, they might carry things. They are intelligent creatures, and they're able to use tools. And in fact, this one did use a garrote on you. And although it didn't cause harm, you've got a mark on your neck right now that is going to, it'll fade in a little while, but it was not comfortable to have it around your neck. And it was about to attempt to even potentially try to decapitate you right there. But it's wearing a uniform of the servants of this place. And that uniform is somewhat ripped by your sword, but it's also somewhat ripped by the fact that it transformed into its demon form, and that's not quite human shaped, and so it kind of ripped that uniform apart as it was changing. You don't find anything else except a weird little locket thing. It could be it's not quite big enough to go around the demon's neck, but it could go around a wrist or something. And it's got a small charm on it that is just a little sort of multi-crisscross symbol.
Sure. Agorus will pick that up to pocket it, just to look at later. But really quick, I'll turn to Valriaut, since he knows so much more about the nth dimension and all that stuff. And this place is of some importance, right? The like hotel tavern we're in. It's like an anchor, at least, some sort of power level.
Yeah, this is an established sanctuary along the Termillion Way. There are several along this way. I mean, there are lots of little places you can stay, hundreds of them, actually. But this is a sanctuary specifically for members of the bloodlines. It is set up as neutral territory. It would be very very much a violation of protocol to engage in any kind of attack. Even if you met your worst enemy here, it would be expected that the two of you would not come to physical blows. You would just, argue with each other or whatever. And if you were going to have a duel or something, you'd step outside, basically. So this is a place of some power, but not nearly the power of a Vergence.
Sure. Because I was gonna see if Valriaut would be able to identify if its belongings came from a nearby place, or if it came from here.
I am passively well traveled. I might be able to see. Can I? Let me take a moment and see what I can see.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna look over the demon itself, and then maybe just politely ask Agorus if I can see the charm or the locket or whatever. See if I can suss out maybe where this beastie came from.
Okay.
Sure.
So I can call that a gather information roll. I would imagine that being study as an appropriate action to be taking right now. And I see a couple of dots in study, so that's to your advantage. So you can roll 2 dots, or you could push yourself if you wanted to, or.
Could
I think I'm
assist him?
going to push myself on this one.
Okay. All right. So you're going to actually, let's say that you're actually really putting a lot of energy and effort into this. So you could roll 3 dice.
Okay. I really just don't want to get this wrong.
Okay.
But I do anyway.
Let's gather information roll, so there are no consequences, but you rolled a failure. So far people are doing well on resistances, but not necessarily super well on everything else. So I'm going to say that your best guess is that you're not sure on the locket. It might be some kind of just personal fetish or something. As far as you can tell, it stole a uniform from this place.
So the best that I think that I can do for you, my brother, is this little pretty here is something important to it, maybe not to us. And I think that this uniform is the genuine article. It's certainly snuck in amongst the ranks here.
Agorus will just kind of nod, and it's like, I'll inform one of the proprietors that they should inspect their staff, see if anybody is missing, and to have them dispose of the body. But as Hrolf says, if we need to continue this journey, then we can make way.
The host of the sanctuary has arrived and is very, very apologetic. She is quite concerned that this was allowed to happen. They have security protocols in place to make sure that no untoward individuals sneak into this place. So she's quite concerned and will launch an immediate investigation. But of course, they will handle the body as you wish.
They're full service here. I like that.
Yeah. And maybe some more popcorn while you're at it.
All the popcorn you want, and the best cheesy popcorn you've ever tasted.
Perfect.
So on the road then?
Yep. Okay, so you are leaving this place. It is sort of a way station, a little, a few worlds away from the pathway of the Great Tormillion Way. When you are traveling through the Umbra, just kind of explain the process of how that works. you would let one person lead. That person would be, you need to move. So you need to be walking in this place, from room to room, and imagining a place that you want to get to, and think, okay, a change that would be closer to where I want to go would be that around this corridor, there'd be a door right there. And there's a door right there. And what you've done is you've found a weakness between worlds, and you step between those worlds to this new place that is similar to where you were, but not quite the same. And then you imagine that you step through that door, and you imagine on the other side of that door, you're going to be in a hallway that leads to the outside, which is different from the place you were in before, because there is no outside in this previous world. And you step through yet another shift from one world to another. Each world, if you imagine these worlds as being sort of arranged on a piece of paper, every world is very similar to every other world next to it. They're arranged, by similarity. So you have to make small shifts in reality to move a place. You can't just decide, I'm in this place with a bunch of rooms, and then suddenly there's a giant volcano. You have to make small shifts, kind of visualizing one thing after another. But as you do that, you get closer and closer to the world that you imagine.
Yeah. I think that's really cool too. Like, I can imagine that cinematically as like really quick cuts in a television show or something, like shifting everything.
Yeah.
It's very
you can definitely could do some really cool things with that in a movie or television show with a decent special effects budget. And the nice thing about a tabletop role-playing game is you have an infinite special effects budget. If this were some kind of chase or something, we'd be going into detail about step by step by step. But let's imagine that one of you is leading the group to kind of create these holes in reality. When you were using your powers, I know that Valriaut, you have the subtlety ability, which means that you can use your powers without anybody kind of being able to tell that you're doing that. The rest of you, there are special effects that occur. And those depend on the world that you're from. If you are from, if you have attuned to the orb of Agorus, then things get hot around you as you make these shifts. Your eyes glow somewhat, and there's those kinds of special effects. Ananke, if you were leading, then there would be kind of dark tendrils around your body, reaching out, kind of snake-like tendrils that are occurring around you as you're using your powers. If you're from the Maelstrom, then that's the air starts to move, and there are little lightning effects occurring. So those are the kinds of things that our special effects department would be establishing around you as you're moving along through the Umbra. But Valriaut, you could choose to do that, or you could say, nope, nobody can see nothing, and I'm just using my powers, and there's nothing going on around me other than I'm walking along from one place to another.
Law-abiding, thank you.
Yeah. So you can be very sneaky about all of this. Who is the one who is leading the group through this? I'm not going to call for a roll, but just to get a sense of what's going on.
I think it's either
Hrolf, yeah.
It's either me or Agorus, because I'm trying to intercept my mom. Agorus knows where we're going.
Yep.
So
and something that you can do is you can go to anything you can imagine. That doesn't mean that you can make your mother be in the place that you feel like her being. So you could find a facsimile of your mother however you want. But what you can do is, instead of imagining going to a place, you can, as you're traveling through the Umbra, kind of say, I want to move closer to Morgaine. And that will start to control the changes you can make, because you're going to a place that you're not imagining. You're going to wherever she happens to be, but eventually you would get to her, wherever that place is, and the shifts that you'd be making would start to resemble that place more and more until you got to that location. So if she were still in the Maelstrom, you would find yourself moving toward the Maelstrom. since she is, and I'm going to say that she is currently moving along the Great Tormillion Way. So you find yourself traveling through a series of worlds that become a long road through a series of different world shifts. So currently, you're moving through fairly high-tech worlds. So there's a great long roadway with vehicles moving along it. You can imagine finding yourself in a world where there's a vehicle just waiting for you, if you want to, or you could say that you've got animals that you're riding, or that you're doing anything else. You're walking along. How is it you're making your way?
Yeah, I think we hop on like monorail.
Okay. All right. So you're on a monorail. You ride through a series of world shifts, and now that you're in a pathway, this road, it just follows its way. You don't actually have to make world shifts on your own. It just goes along its way. So you're on a monorail through a series of high-tech world jumps. That monorail shifts into a lower tech environment, and it changes its form because it's on this Tormillion Way. You find that it slowly becomes a steam train, and because you are recognized as being members of the Blood, similar to the servants who were in this the sanctuary you were at, they recognize you and they're providing you with services. Soon thereafter, your train links up with another train. So you can see that your trains are moving along in parallel along two tracks. And the construction is such that they link together, and now they're forming a train along the same track. And you know that up ahead on that train is Morgaine and whoever she happens to be with.
All right, so I turn to Variaut and say, "Well, we're here."
Oh, good. The travel log. You know how it goes. Now, I am at something of a loss. I immediately want to go and seek out Selim, but I don't know if I just go for the throat like that, if it will go poorly for us. What do you think?
I can introduce you. Well, you should know him. Because he's my father. So, like, since you live with me.
All right. Of course, your father, Selim.
Oh, right, my dad.
Yes.
So, yeah, he's the father of Hrolf. He is also a friend. Just happens to be a friend of Agorus. So either of you could make contact with him if you chose to, or you could try to send him a note or do something else funky.
So I guess it's up to you how direct you want to be. I can reach into his mind and communicate with him, or you can tap him on the shoulder and say hi.
I would prefer if we could meet in a secluded spot, somewhere that is perhaps away from your mother, if at all possible. Otherwise, the game is sort of up.
Fair.
All right. So I'm assuming that you want to use your power to just kind of reach out through this world and make a connection to him.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. I'm not going to ask for a roll on that. I'm going to say that that's something that you're going to be able to do since you're right there in the same world, in the same location, and there's nothing really in the way of doing that. So that's a fairly routine thing for you to be able to do in this context. So you can just kind of reach out through the worlds that you're, this train, as it's traveling along from one world to another, and kind of searching out through different minds to find Selim. And you make contact with your father. How is your how's your relationship with your father?
I think fine, but I probably haven't spoken to him in a while.
Okay.
So my message is something like, oh, father, long time no see. I'm
Oh.
on I'm on the train, whatever car it is, something like that.
All right. So he'll make arrangements to come see you shortly. And a short while later, your father arrives. He is a storm knight, so he's wearing sort of a standard ceremonial sort of plate cuirass with pauldrons on his shoulders, bracers, van braces, and I'm going to say he's got a sword on his back and another short sword at his side. He is sort of grizzled fellow with a beard with sort of a shock of white hair down the center, and he shows up with a few of his servants and retainers, and says, "Hrolf, it has been such a long time. It is so good to see you." And he rushes over, grasps you by the hand, gives you a big hug.
Great to see you too. Was surprised that I would find you here just as we were passing through.
Yes, I imagine you too are heading toward the Agorus for the ball.
We are.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember Valriaut? And
Variaut, yes, it has been a very long time.
Entirely too long, Chip.
Yes. And Agorus, I see you're with us as well. It's good to see you too. And he comes over and he gives you another handshake. He's got a very, very firm handshake and gives you a big hug.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the others of you see that for somehow Hrolf's father knows Agorus apparently quite well, because he gives you a very friendly hug.
Yeah, this is probably a surprise to me too. To see you've met. And this is Ananke.
Mm-hmm. And he bows to you. I do not know you, lady, but it is wonderful to meet you. I infer from your garb that you are of the Serpent.
She sort of returns the bow and gives a nod of her head, and that's correct.
So how has Morgaine been? I have not spoken to her in a long time either.
Ah, your mother. She. Well, you know her. She is pretty much as she always is. She's not one for this sort of event. She's attending because it's expected every 12 years, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But she'd much rather be doing her duties in the Maelstrom.
Yeah, that sounds like her.
Mm-hmm. How do your studies go?
Always continuing, never ending.
Certainly so.
There's just so much to learn out there, after all.
It's true. And I feel like this is probably a point of contention between us to some extent, because I chose to become like a sorcerer and learn things instead of a knight.
Yeah. If it makes sense to you, we could say he's pretty much kind of accepted that. It's not the way things would have gone if it had been his choice, but he kind of understands how this played out, and that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Your mother, kind of figures, you've got a long lifespan ahead of you, and you could turn your life around if you chose.
You could make the right choice.
Yeah.
You could make a better choice.
Yeah.
It's not too late. And the Storm Knights could certainly use someone of your abilities, and really, what you've learned thus far could be treated as just a younger phase of learning some things that will be useful in your future career as a Storm Knight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not all wasted.
I'm sure I've gotten basically that exact lecture before.
Exactly. Yes.
Yep.
He turns to Agorus and says, I cannot help but wonder, you have what looks like a somewhat fresh set of cuts on your face. Did you encounter some trouble on the way here?
Yeah, I'll kind of nod to Selim and just kind of, well, trouble seems to find me. Although, as it happens, I may be looking for it.
That has
in a manner of
been
speaking.
the case in my experience. Yes.
I'll kind of I don't know, make a kind of friendly gesture towards him. While you're at the ball, perhaps just keep an eye out. I know that courtly intrigue can be a lot to take in, but it may not be the only thing to worry about.
Do you expect some sort of a plot?
I think Selim's probably somebody enough that Agorus could trust, but I don't think coming with this this alliance and everything. I think it's just a touchy enough subject to not want other people to know about. So I'll just kind of knowingly nod to him, and I'm like, I wish I could tell you more, but it is a delicate matter.
Okay. I'm noticing that it's about time for break number 2.
Good catch. So we will be back in about 5 minutes. We'll take our second break. Go ahead and stretch and get some water or whatever. See you soon.
Awesome.